Hello and welcome to this episode of Rick's Garage. So today it is all about the plenum chamber, the valve covers and also repainting the raised lettering. So let's go. So welcome back guys. As I say, today we are focusing on the valve covers, the plenum chamber, the spark plug cover and also the intake runner base plates. I'm also in this video going to be repainting the raised lettering as the title suggests. If you are here just to see that, then feel free to skip to this part in the video right here. But for the rest of you who have been following this project from day one, I hope you enjoyed the video in its entirety. Okay guys, so condition wise of everything that you see on the table before you, to be fair, for 20-year-old Burr aluminium, it certainly isn't terrible. I've seen much worse. But what exactly am I going to do in order to rejuvenate everything here? Now, from the very beginning, the big burning question has always been, should I powder coat or should I vapor blast? That is the thing that everybody wants to know. Now, I think it's fair to say, guys, that most people who take on this little project always tend to powder coat. Now, there's no denying that powder coating, when done right, can look absolutely fantastic. If you want something that looks very fresh, something that really pops and stands out, powder coating can look absolutely great. There are lots of people out there who do lots of different colour combinations. Personally, if I was powder coating, what I would do is always opt for silver because that is my personal preference. Now, powder coating isn't always fantastic. It does have its drawbacks, as I say, unless it's done right. Personally, I think powder coating can potentially sometimes look a little bit vulgar. Now, sometimes this can be down to the powder coater, but other times it can be down to the casting. You see, these castings are not perfect from the factory, and any imperfections will show through on the powder coat. Now obviously guys, you don't have to powder coat these, you could just normally paint them. Now obviously both have their separate set of challenges. If you paint, then obviously you have to consider the texture of the casting, and then you've also got things like orange peel to contend with. Either way, if I was going to paint these, I would do a lot of preparation work first. I would also consider the crackle paint because that stuff hides a lot of imperfections, and personally I think it looks fantastic. Whether you choose to paint or powder coat guys, do bear in mind that yes, it does photograph very well, but it's very rare that it bears close inspection. Painting or powder coating does look very obvious, it does stand out, and if you paint or powder coat them silver, there will be a heavy contrast between the covers and the engine block. So that's the pros and cons to powder coating out of the way. What is the alternative? Now the alternative for me is to keep the Burr factory aluminium cast. Now the way to do that is through a process called vapor blasting. Now there are also drawbacks to vapor blasting and keeping the Burr cast aluminium. And that would be, for me personally, it doesn't look as bright, it doesn't look as fresh as powder coating. Also, it is a little bit harder to keep clean. Now, another drawback is, unless you can find a very good vapor blaster, you may not get the results that you're anticipating. Also, your piece may be too heavily corroded to begin with, in which case, no matter how good the blaster or the machine that they are using, you may not be able to achieve the results that you want. On the plus side, get it right and your valve covers can look absolutely factory fresh, if not brand spanking new. So there you go guys, there are pros and cons to both powder coating and blasting. So which process have I chose? What route have I chosen to take? Well, you may have guessed it guys, vapor blasting. Now for those of you that don't know, wet abrasive blasting, also known as vapor blasting, removes coatings, contaminants, corrosion and residues from hard surfaces. It's similar to dry blasting except that the media blast is moistened prior to impacting the surface. By doing this helps to protect softer metals such as aluminium. So yes, as you can see, I went down the vapor blasting route, and as you can see, they turned out very well indeed. I'm absolutely chuffed to bits with these. Now the reason I went down the vapor blasting route is because I want to try and do as much of a sympathetic restoration as I possibly can. Now obviously, if you've seen previous episodes, yes, I have polished my fuel rails instead of zinc plating them. That is the only little upgrade or touch that I have made, but generally on the engine bay I want it to look as original as possible. For those of you who want to know, this vapor blasting service was provided by a company called CRC Restoration Services. CRC actually specialise in classic motorcycle restorations, however they do cater for a wide range of automotive services, such as this vapor blasting on my engine covers. CRC is a small one-man band setup, but because of that, the amount of time, care and attention to detail gone into these really does show. They are clearly done by somebody who cares about their business and their reputation. CRC does offer a postal service, guys, so if you want this exact same thing done with your engine covers, then get in touch with CRC. I will leave details in the description. So finally, we're on the finishing touches now. Now it's time to paint the red lettering and the details on the plenum chamber and also the spark plug cover. Now there are a few different ways of doing this, guys. Many people do it by hand with a paintbrush, which is absolutely fine. Personally, I use a piece of sponge. Now I've mentioned this to people online before, but for some reason lots of people say it can't be done. Well, hopefully this video will show you that yes, it can be done. Obviously, it heavily depends on you and your technique and your skill, but do it right and it will look absolutely fantastic. Now, first thing I'm doing is masking up. I'm not going to town on this, guys. I'm just doing the surrounding areas just to avoid any silly mistakes. The foam or sponge that you use for this project does matter. If you can, try to find some very firm foam or dense foam. That will make the job much easier. Personally, I'm just using a bit of a buffer pad. It does the job. Now the paint I'm using here, guys, is just some normal engine enamel. This is from Halfords. It costs around £8. Absolute bargain. So I've got my paint ready. And I've also got my piece of foam, and the first thing I'm going to do, guys, is prime the sponge. Just absorb a little bit of the paint, dab off the excess. That is all you need. You don't want to go in there thick. Now to get it on, all you're going to do is lightly dab it. You don't really want to press with the sponge. You just want to dab it on the surface of the lettering. I know that is pretty obvious, but you just want to take your time. Now the reason I'm doing the plenum chamber first is because it's a little bit less intricate, a little bit easier than a spark plug cover, so this is a nice little practice piece. So there you go, guys. As you can see, it really is as easy as that. So that is one of two pieces finished. Now it just needs a little bit of time to dry and even out. So there you go guys and girls, that is now the finished product, and if I do say so myself, I think these are now looking absolutely fantastic. So as always guys, I hope you found this video useful and informative. Please do consider giving me a like and subscribe, and I shall see you next time.